Hello and welcome to Hobbies Justified, the channel that totally is an excuse for us and you to spend more money.
No, really it isn't.
I'm Luke and this is my wife Deb.
Hi.
Today we will be doing a quick review of Noctiluca by Z-Man Games. It is a 1 to 4 player dice drafting game. Each round takes about 30 minutes and it's very consistent with that no matter how many players you have. Each player has 2 jars, a secret color card, and pawns equal to 12 divided by the number of players. The goal of the game is to fill jar cards with Noctiluca, which are represented by dice on the board. These Noctiluca are collected by placing pawns on the outermost ring, picking which of the 2 straight lines from that spot you want to pick, and then calling out a number. And then you go in that line and pick up each of the Noctiluca or the dice that have that number faced up. The dice are then placed in your jars according to their color. And here's kind of the interesting gimmick of the game. If you do not have a space for a Noctiluca, say you picked up an orange one, you don't have a slot for an orange one on your jars, you pass it to the next player. If they do not have the ability to place that on one of their jars at the beginning of their turn, then they will then pass it to the next player at the end of their turn, continuing on until it is either used in a jar or the round ends. Once a jar is filled up, it is turned face down and you take the colored coin corresponding to the tag on the neck of the bottle. These coins have victory point values on them and are stacked with the highest value coins at the bottom. This means that you can take advantage of other players getting coins before you to actually get higher value coins. After you fill up one of your jars, you pick a new one from the 3 stacks laid out. Scoring takes place at the end of the second round when each player has placed their last pawn and grabbed their Noctiluca and of course placed them on their jars. The first step of the scoring phase is to determine the majority for each color of coin, meaning that of course if Deb has 3 reds and I have 2, then she has majority. What that means then is the rest of the red ones will get flipped upside down, so they have a 1 face up and get passed to her for scoring. Players then proceed to add up all of their victory points, which are earned from the number on their coins. Bonus points in the top right corner of their completed jars. How many of the slots on their completed jars match the color of their secret card, and by earning 1 victory point for every 2 dice still on their uncompleted jars. As with most games, the player with the most victory points wins.
The replay value of this game is very high. It's a simple, quick game, and that's the main reason why it's replayable. If you're looking for a game that's got variety in terms of how the game plays out, this is not the game for you. Even though it feels very much like it's the same from game to game, that's perfectly fine just because it is really, really simple and fun, and it's honestly become one of our go-to games. It's really easy to set up, really easy to play, and very, very enjoyable and cute.
The complexity of this game is about medium heavyweight, maybe a bit on the lower end of that honestly, maybe more around medium. While there aren't a lot of moving parts to this game, there actually is a surprising amount of complexity to it. Because you really need to consider how you're going for victory points. You really need to consider if you're going for the numbers on the jars, if you're going for a majority in a certain color of coins, if you're going for the number of slots on that match your secret color. And you really, really, really have to kind of do a variety of them. And another really important thing is that you got to keep track of what every other player is doing, what they're going for, because then a lot of times you'll need to block them off. And sometimes it's better for you to just go somewhere that you think they need, that you see that they've been eyeing, just to take up that spot, just to take it away from them. So even though there really isn't a whole lot to this game, there really is a lot to it, because you go in and if you think it's going to be super simple, you're going to be surprised at how much there is. And if you go in thinking it's going to be super heavy, you're probably going to be a bit disappointed. But it's really fun. There's a lot of strategy to it, and if you don't employ that strategy, unless you get really lucky, you're just not going to win.
we class the production quality of this game as high because the dice are very, very well made. There aren't any bubbles like you would usually see in translucent dice, even ones that are made for tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons. The meatballs are very uniform except for one that has a little bit smaller of a head. But other than that, they all look pretty much the same. There aren't any splinters in them. They're not damaged in any way. They hold up really well.
Mm-hmm.
The cards are maybe the slightest bit thin and bendy. So, like, if you were going to be shuffling them, then I would say be careful, but you honestly really don't have to do a whole lot of shuffling with them, so you're probably fine. It's not really an issue at all.
Yeah, I'd really say that that's not a major problem whatsoever. It's more so just like a minor grievance. Because I've noticed that even game to game, like as we put it away and then bring it back out, all of them go back to their original thing, even if while we're playing they end up being a little bit bent. You really only shuffle them once at the beginning of the game. You don't do it for round 2. It's just the beginning of the game. So I wouldn't even really say that you have to be careful. It's just something that's a minor little gripe that if they did a reprint would be nice to have them be a little bit thicker.
Speaking of minor gripes.
That's not a minor gripe. That's a major. My only real problem with the production quality of this game is this little piece right here. So this is the round tracker. There are 2 rounds. Obviously it has 1 and 2. Now, when you're doing 1, there are these little slots all across the board, which you can kind of see. It fits perfectly in there. When you go to 2, the little thingies go the wrong way, and I forget it every single time, and there's no proper way to put it in the center with it to fill out everything. It's not going to look right. Every single time we play it during round 2, I'm OCD, and I forget about it, and I try and fix it the entire round 2.
Yeah, this thing drives him absolutely crazy, but it really doesn't affect the game at all.
It doesn't, and like the thing is, like this is like, it's, thicker cardboard than you would see in most board games. It's held up well when you're popping it out. It doesn't, have any little bits that get caught on it. Very well made. All of the other cardboard coins and stuff, same thing. They're thicker. They work well. They're not going to fall apart on you. They're going to last for a really long time. So production quality overall is pretty dang high. Ease of play is about medium-low for this. For me, the only real problem in ease of play is the dice, because they're supposed to be random, and the bag that they come in isn't big enough. I don't think it's really meant to be used that way, but it's what we use it for. And it's just when you have all the dice in here, it's too hard to randomize them. Really, this can just be a very simple fix of just getting a dice bag and putting them in there and shaking it up. That's kind of the only problem, and like the setup takes a little bit. And then as far as the rest of it, it's very, very easy to learn. It's very easy to understand. Even when you get into kind of the crunchier bits with like the strategy, it's still pretty easy to grasp and understand, especially as you play the game more. But with that being said, the game is almost entirely sitting and staring at a board. Because the entire time you're just going to be going, okay, there are these dice here, I need these ones. How can I place there? Do I need to cut off other people? What's my strategy? And like it's a lot of staring at the board. So while it's very easy, it's definitely not the most well-oiled machine.
It's a thinking game.
Yeah, it's very, very much so a thinking game. So because of that, like for adults, it's very easy to play, but for like kids and stuff, it's going to be a lot harder. To actually play it, it's going to be easy, but for them to get like the strategy and stuff and to actually win, it's going to be harder.
This is a very, very high value game. Not necessarily because you can reuse any of the pieces, because you could definitely take these dice and you could use them somewhere else for other things. They're really good quality dice, like you were saying earlier. We choose not to do so. We like to keep them together with the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the stuff you wouldn't really use it for other games.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get a whole lot of stuff for other games out of this, but that's perfectly fine because really the value of this game is the game itself, not it taking pieces and using them for something different. Because the game is just, it's so quick, it's so easy, it's so fun, it's so cute, and it stands up really well on its own.
For sure, and especially with the price point too, because for other games like this, they tend to be a little bit more expensive. So for this one, I think like the price that they normally shoot for the standard retail is about $35. But pretty much everywhere online has it for a little bit cheaper than that. It's more like $30. And we've got the price in the stats here somewhere on one of these corners. So for the price point, it's really worth it. And it's something too where like if it's like you're a little bit on the price, I would definitely say it's worth it. You're gonna get a lot of replayability out of it. Even if it's not something that like if you're a couple buying it like us, or you have a game group, even if one or two people in a game group don't really like it, they're still not gonna hate it. So it's something that it's so quick and easy that even if people don't really like it, they're still gonna play it. You're not really gonna get people saying no. Alright, on to the theming. Unfortunately, the theming is very low impact, but it really doesn't matter. Because when you're playing this game, you really don't feel like a diver collecting Noctiluca. If anything, you feel closer to a poacher, in a back pond with these rare animals that you want to go and then you want to cut off your opponents to get, a better price for yourself and to be able to have, Monopoly in it. Or like a witch picking up, these magic little creatures to put in your potions and to fight other witches. You really do not feel like a diver, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. The game has had a ton of care put into streamlining it, and they did a very good job of that. So if they did try to lean more into the theming, it would kind of break the game and just ruin it. It wouldn't be as fun.
It would take away and would be a distraction rather than a benefit.
For sure. So even though the theming is low impact, it just doesn't matter. It's so fun. It's so cute. The art is great. It's quick. It's easy. It's just such a good game. And because of that, I think we both would really, really strongly recommend this game. It's something that I really haven't heard a lot of other people talking about either. And like this is one that's definitely worth it. Like for us, it's really fun. It's a really good game. We really enjoy it. For the price point and everything, it's more than worth it. I think that's about all that we have today.
Bonus note, Noctiluca are actually real.
Yes, so the little videos that you see of like waves and stuff with the bioluminescence in it, those are actually Noctiluca. Well, some of them are. But yeah, it's worth looking up. They're actually a really interesting thing. Anyway, that is now all that we have for today. So thank you. We'll see you next video. Bye.
Bye.